Hi Year 5. I'm going to be doing a few online lessons. I can't actually see myself in the phone because I've had to turn it round the other way, simply because I've got a few things I want to hold up. And if I turn my phone round the other way, you can't read the writing because I tried it already. So I can't actually see what I look like right now. I'm looking at the back of my phone. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I'm going to do a few lessons for you. I don't want you falling too far behind. It's really important that you try hard, you work hard at home. So I'm going to do a series of lessons which will focus on developing your writing and making sure that your writing still, you're still practicing your writing at home and you're not going to fall behind, basically. So I'm going to do a quick lesson today, and it's this. I'm going to hold this up in front of me, and it's I can develop characters, okay, through description. Okay, through descriptive writing. So there's a lesson objective. I'm going to hold it up now. Okay, so I can develop a character through description. Okay, I can develop a character through description. So that's what we're focusing on this lesson. Now, we've done a lot of talk in class about language features, haven't we? You know, what language features can we identify in a text? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about the kind of language features that an author would use to describe a character. Okay, we're looking at what the characters look like. We're not focusing on the action. We're not focusing on dialogue, on the characters talking. We're focusing on describing a character, okay, what they look like. All right, so think of as many different ways as you can now, okay, as many different language features that you think an author would use to describe a character. And I'm going to give you 30 seconds just to have a think about that now. I'm timing on my watch, okay? Have a think about that. Start to process it, jot it down in your workbook. What ways, what language features would an author use to describe a character? I mean, I'm thinking of a few now in my own mind as well. Think back to what we've done in class. Think back to, you know, the language features we've identified in writing. But what features particularly might be used to describe a character? Okay, so you stop there. All right, I've thought of a few, okay? I've thought of adjectives. If I hold this up, okay, I've got no idea if you can actually see this. I'm kind of guessing really where the phone is. And okay, so I've thought of a few adjectives, similes, metaphors, expanded noun phrases, alliteration. Okay, I haven't mentioned verbs. I haven't mentioned adverbs. Because verbs describe actions, and I don't want to focus on actions. I'm focusing on, you know, the use of descriptive language. So I held up that piece of paper, so we've got adjectives. Okay, so what adjectives do you think could describe a character? So before we do this exercise, I want you to now think of a character. Okay, choose a character right now. It could be from one of the stories we've read in class. It could be a character from the Roman Quest story, Juba, for instance. Okay. It could be a character from the Highwayman poem we did. So it could be the Highwayman himself, or Tim the Ostler, or Bess. It could be Captain Hook. We did, if you remember, we did a paragraph of description about Captain Hook. What else have we done? The Tornado Chasers. Could be a character. It could be Callum Brenner from the Tornado Chasers. Or you might have a character in a book you've been reading. I think Harry Potter, for example. Yeah? Loads of you love Harry Potter books. Could you choose a character from one of those? So, you've chosen your character. Okay, choose one now. 10 seconds. Okay, close your eyes and imagine that character in your mind now. Okay, start at the top of the head. What hair have they got? Have they got hair? They might be an old person. They might be an old man. Maybe they haven't got hair. Maybe they've got a bald patch. Or have they got long, luscious, flowing hair, curly hair, dark hair like Captain Hook? Okay, what kind of hair have they got? Have they got tawny hair? That's a new word we learned, isn't it, from the Roman Quest story? What kind of hair have they got? Think of the adjectives you could use to describe that character now. 1 minute, starting from the hair, the face, the skin colour, the clothing, the size of that character. Are they tall? Are they short? Are they old? Are they young? You know, the build of the character. Tell me as much as you can. List as many different adjectives as you can think of in 1 minute to describe your character. 3, 2, 1, go. As many. Okay. How many adjectives can you think of? List them, write them down in your workbook at home. As many as you can think of in a minute. You've had about 15 seconds. If you've got like a thesaurus at home, that might be helpful. If you haven't, you can Google it. There's probably thesauruses online. You can also type like a word into Microsoft Word, highlight it, right click it and look up that word and look up other words that mean the same thing. So there's different options. You might be able to download an app, like a thesaurus app at home, that you could use to find other adjectives. Okay, right, stop there then. So I hope you've got an amazing selection now of adjectives. I'm just going to double check that this phone is still recording because I can't see it. Because the last thing I want is to be chatting on here for the next 5-10 minutes and it hasn't even done anything. So excuse me for 30 seconds, you just carry on writing down some adjectives while I go and double check that this is working. Yep, we're on 7 minutes and 24. 7 minutes and 24. Okay. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go and find an adult at home who's looking after you and see if they can think of any others. So 30 seconds. Off we go. Go and find an adult. Can they find any more adjectives you can use to describe your character? You might need to tell them who your character is first, obviously. Okay, so you should have had a few. You can always pause this, remember. I'm not doing live stream. I'm just recording a few like this so that you can stop it. You can rewind it if you need to replay it. You can pause it while you do the different activities. You can take as long as you want watching this video clip, okay? You can replay it as many times as you like. Okay, that's why I'm choosing to do it this way. Okay, so now you've got a lovely list of adjectives, amazing, that describe that character, their hair, what they look like, their facial features, the eyes. Think about how you can describe eyes. Remember in the Highwayman poem, it talks about Timliosula's eyes as hollows of madness because he was so jealous that the highwayman was talking to Bess. And things like that. So think of really creative ways that you can describe the facial features of your character. Eyes are really important. Hair, build. Okay, so you've got some of those jotted down now. So the next thing I've got, again, I don't know if you can actually see, you can't see this yet, so I'm going to lift it up. Hopefully you can see that now. I've also got similes, okay, jotted down here. Now similes, compare something to something else. We've done this already. You should all know what similes, metaphors are, and alliteration. All of these things, personification, it doesn't really come into this. We've done all these stylistic devices in class already. Similes compare something to something else. So, for example, the sun is like a smiling face in the sky. That's a simile. Okay? The sea is as cold as ice. That's a simile. When you compare something to something else, I'm sorry about the background noise you can hear. It's quite noisy where I live. If you can hear any people talking, it's because I live in a very busy area. People are coming and going. I live right opposite a Spar shop, and I live in a flat that's above a shop below me, so you can hear sometimes customers like a little bit. So if you hear people talking or laughing in the background, that's what it is. I'm not in a house party, okay? All right, so you've got some similes now, hopefully, or you're starting to think of similes. So a simile is something that compares something to something else. So he can run as quick as a flash. He fights, he's as strong as a lion when he fights. You know, things like that, they are similes. Okay, so think now of as many different similes, okay, as you can think of, and write them down, okay, in your workbook, okay? So you've got adjectives. You might like to write subtitles, you know, write subtitle adjectives, write a subtitle similes, and then write some similes down. Right, you've got 1 minute now to write some similes down, okay? Just think about those similes, think about a character, you know, are they fast? Is your character a fast character? What similes can you think of? As fast as a cheetah, as quick as a flash. Any others, okay, that you can think of? Is your character a fierce, strong character? As strong as a lion, okay? As ferocious as a bear, for example. Are they cold? Are they a cold, heartless character? Her heart is as cold as ice. Think about those kind of, you know, any others that you can think of. If she's a, or he's a warm, friendly character, you know, can you think of anything to do with that? So, okay, we're just finishing off now. While I'm speaking, you should still be jotting these down. Okay. Brilliant. Now, I'm not going to go and ask you to go and ask an adult for more ideas. What I will do is I'll say at the end of this clip, okay, when you've listened to me, go and ask the adult, okay, who's looking after you, and see if they can think of any others that you might be able to use in your descriptive writing, okay? See if they can extend your vocabulary for you, all right? Okay, so we've got some similes down now, brilliant. So we're going to move on now to some metaphors. I'm down here now, okay, metaphors. Now, metaphors is when you say that something is actually something else. It's like a lie. We talked about this in class. If I use the sun again, for example, a metaphor is the sun is a smiling face. Okay, that's a metaphor. The sea is a blanket of blue. Well, the sea isn't a blanket. So metaphors are like lies in a way. Okay, so the sea is a blanket of blue. That's a metaphor. Whereas a simile would be the sea is as blue as a blue blanket, or the sea is like a blue blanket. That's a simile. Whereas a metaphor actually changes that to it is actually that. It is a blanket of blue. They can also remember similes and metaphors be in the past tense as well. Okay, so for example, in the Highwayman poem, the moon was a ghostly galleon, and we learnt that a galleon is an old ship, okay, tossed upon cloudy seas. So that was a metaphor. The moon is a ghostly galleon. Okay, well, we know the moon's not a ship, but that's what it says in the Highwayman poem. Okay, now if we change that word into the moon was like a ghostly galleon, suddenly that changes it to a simile, because it's comparing it to something else. It's not actually saying it is something else. All right, so now metaphors. Okay, write as many metaphors down as you can. Remember, metaphors are saying it actually is that. Okay, so if your character is brave and courageous, you could say he is a lion in battle. Okay, not like a lion. He is a lion in battle. All right. He is. I'm trying to think of something else now. It could be that your character's freezing cold. They're really cold. She's a block of ice. Well, she's not actually a block of ice. Okay, but it means she's cold. So any others you can think of, any other metaphors? You don't need a huge amount, you just need a few. give you a little bit longer, another 30 seconds just to write down some different metaphors. Hopefully you can come up with other ideas. I've shared a few, but hopefully you can come up with some others. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got adjectives, we've got some similes, we've got some metaphors written down now. I want to talk about expanded noun phrases as well. This is a year 4 objective, but it's still good for us to build on year 4 objectives in year 5. So expanded noun phrases, expanded nouns, there they are, okay? And I'll give you a quick example of what this is like. Let's take the boy. That's a noun, okay? We can expand that noun to become a noun phrase. Don't be put off by the word phrase. A phrase is just more than one word grouped together. So when words are grouped together, they're called phrases, all right? So like a sentence is a phrase. It's a series of words put together, okay, that have a meaning. That's a phrase. So we're going to take the word boy, which is a noun, and build it, to expand it. That's what the word expand means. It means to make it bigger. Okay, so expanded noun is a noun that's made bigger. Okay, so expanded noun phrase is taking a noun like the boy and expanding it. So the boy, we're going to change that to, we're going to add to it and expand it. So we might say the small boy. We might add another adjective, the small timid boy. Okay, we might extend this by adding a prepositional phrase, and a preposition means basically where something is. Okay, under, over, behind, next to, they're all prepositions. A little clue is it's got the word position in it. Preposition. Position meaning where something is, where something's happening. Okay, position, or where something's placed. That's what preposition is. Okay, so every time you use the words like on, or under, or next to, below, in, okay, in the corner of a field, that's a prepositional phrase because it's telling us where something's happening. Okay, it's also an adverbial phrase. It's an adverbial phrase. Adverbs tell us where things are happening, but those little words like in, under, on, over, next to, they're prepositions. So a prepositional phrase could tells us kind of where something is happening. Like say, like it's an adjective. It's an adjective, like a fronted adverbial at the start of a sentence, in the corner of a field. Okay, but that's also a preposition in there. So some of these things cross over. So a prepositional phrase then. So let's take the boy. We've extended it to the small timid boy. Let's add a prepositional phrase that tells us where he is. Okay, so the small timid boy sitting on the carpet. Okay, add in a prepositional phrase. The small timid boy sitting on the carpet. So we've extended that noun from the boy to the small timid boy sitting on the carpet. Can you think of any expanded nouns about your character? Okay, write as many expanded noun phrases as you can think of in the next minute. I'm just going to check the time while you're doing that to see how we're doing. Okay, so I'm on 19 minutes. That's quite a long time. I don't realise how long it is. So 19 minutes, we're coming to the end now. Anyway, the end of me chatting. You know, I mean, as part of our English lesson in school, I would be talking, because during this time, it hasn't just been me talking, has it? It's been you writing things down, going to adults, asking them for ideas. So it hasn't just been me talking non-stop for 20 minutes. So, if you finish up then, and I'll just quickly mention one extra thing, which is alliteration. Okay, now alliteration, we know already, I've taught you this, that it's two words next to each other that start with the same sound. Not necessarily the same letter, but the same sound. Okay, like the slithering snake. So can you think of any examples where you could use alliteration to describe your character? Just think of a few now. Can you think of any that come into your mind? Jot a couple down. Lovely. Brilliant. So we've got adjectives. We've got some similes written down. You've got some metaphors written down. You should have some expanded noun phrases and a couple of examples of alliteration all written down on a piece of paper or in your workbook. Okay? Right, so what I want you to do now, I'm going to set you the task. Okay? I want you to write half a page of descriptive writing describing your character. Okay? I want you to use adjectives, but not just any old boring ones. Don't use the word nice. Use some more exciting ones than that. Metaphors, similes, expanded noun phrases. If you can add a preposition onto there and tell us where your character is at the same time, brilliant. And alliteration. Okay? Maybe just one example of alliteration will be fine. Then I want you to proofread it like we do in class. I want you to check your grammar, your punctuation. I want you to make sure it makes sense. Okay? Check your bare necessities, capital letters, full stops, commas. If you can use a semicolon to link two separate clauses together, brilliant. If you can use an ellipsis, if you can use exclamation marks, anything that you can use your punctuation, but make sure that you are using it in the right way and double check, okay, that you are using it in the right way. I haven't got time to go through every single one. I've been through them over the course of the year. We've looked at these different examples. See if you can add parentheses. Again, we've looked at parentheses, add an extra detail into a sentence using commas, dashes, I can't remember the colons. No, I can't remember, commas or dashes. Okay, think about how, adding, brackets, that's the other one. Brackets, commas and dashes to add parentheses as well. So here's an example of a parenthesis sentence. The dog, comma, who was wagging his tail, or its tail, comma, strolled right up to me. That little wagging its tail is giving extra detail into the sentence and it's adding parenthesis. Okay, it's also a relative clause sentence, which we've looked at as well. All right, so I'm going to leave you now. Make sure you check your homophones. Make sure you use your right there, or there. To. There's three different types. There's three different types of by. There's of and off. One's got one F, one's got two. Okay, turn the light off is two Fs. We need to be checking these things. Get your parents or whoever's looking after you at home, get them to check through your spellings. Okay, don't get lazy now just because you're not at school. All right, you need to be keeping up with these things and you need to be checking your punctuation and you need to be spelling the words you know how to spell correctly. And if you don't know how to spell words, you need to be checking how they're spelled in a dictionary, okay, to keep up with your spelling and punctuation. Don't let it slip over the next, however many weeks, okay, this might go on for. All right, so great. I'm looking forward to hearing some of these. Feel free to email them to me. I'd love to read them, okay? I'm going to leave you get on now for the next 35, 40 minutes writing this half a page of descriptive writing. Bye.